The Grom killer? I guess we're gonna find out. First impressions of the Benelli TNT135. It's super agile, really happy in all the corners. You do feel like you're sitting up quite high compared to a lot of other small bikes that I have and ride. My knees fit quite well. They actually sit a bit further forward, but it's good enough. Wow, this thing's done 890 kilometers from day one. It's pretty new, and a massive thanks to Derek for letting me ride this thing. Yeah, this thing's got legs. There's a rev limiter at 9,500 RPM. Speed. Tick. This thing just feels at home on these backcountry roads. And these 5 gears. And I know this is going to sound weird to all you guys that ride big bikes, but 5 gears takes a little bit of getting used to. I'm used to having to stretch out second and third gear on a 4-speed Honda gearbox, just a ridiculous amount, and fourth is just no use up any of these hills on a Honda gearbox. But I'm in 5th right now, happily as. See, little things like this. I'm in 5th gear but the neutral light's on. Little attention to detail bits. I guess that's where the Honda Grom has been absolutely perfected down to the wire, and this is kind of just been, there's a lot of attention and a lot of detail gone into it, but there's also a lot of things that have actually not really kind of been finessed as much as Honda. It's really fun, it rides really well, its general build quality is actually quite good. However, there's just little finishing touches. Does it mean that you shouldn't buy one? Not at all, but I think it's just something to be very aware of going in to buying a Benelli TNT135. This is a Benelli TNT135. This is a 135cc 4-stroke fuel injected 4-valve single overhead cam engine, which produces about 12 to 13 horsepower. It's a twin spark engine. There's 2 spark plugs, and there is quite a lot of technology that's gone into it. This is the part they don't show you when you're trying to film, but then you're in the middle of the road and a car comes. Whoops. In the world of small bikes, there's not a dramatic amount of choice if you want to buy new. Obviously, we've got the numerous Honda offerings that all share the same motor, the 125cc PGM FI fuel injected series, and it's a really wicked engine and it's cool. But to see this thing here, which has 5 gears, not 4, what can it do? What does it have? Is it worth buying? I'm going to be brutally honest with this thing and just see what it's like. It's not mine. I'm not being paid by anyone to make this video. I've just gone and borrowed a Benelli TNT135. Alright, so first thing you'll notice with this bike is it does have a wicked little stance. The tank looks quite beefy and big. Notice it's got a 2-part seat, a dedicated part for the pillion there, and I believe that's just so you can open the front half where everything is. We'll have a look at that shortly. It's running a 428 chain. I think it's got a 37 tooth rear sprocket, the front sprocket I'm not 100% sure. And these tyres that are on here are Metzeler's. They are aftermarket, they do not come stock on this bike. You've got a 135cc twin spark engine, and look, there's one spark plug, and can you see the other one just in there? It's a 4-valve head, and it kind of looks like your standard, maybe like a Suzuki GM125 motor, but a bit more advanced. And they've actually got some modern technology on it. The shifter and the side stand have quite a cool shape to them, along with the brake pedal as well. It's not just a big boring bit of mild steel with some chrome dip. It's actually a nice little bit of alloy. The brake calipers look exactly the same as what you find on a Honda Grom. They literally look exactly the same. These forks are pretty beefy. They're quite a bit thicker than what you'd find on a Honda Grom, and this headlight is quite funky as well. An oil cooler tucked up in there right behind the front forks. So when you turn the key, this is your startup function or feature that you see. You've got your kill switch here, off and on, the hazard lights if you want them, so you can have all your lights on at once, high and low beam. You've got your indicators or turn signals, and your horn as well, which is not that nice, but hey. If I hit the start button now, it tries to start, but it won't. That's because the side stand switch works while it's in neutral, which really frustrates me. So look, there you go. It starts up, no problem at all, but now I can't walk away from it. I'm a bit shortchanged here, I feel. It's one of the small things that are a little bit frustrating with it, but really don't detract from it too much. So it's not something that would make me not want this bike. It's just something that I feel that you should know going into it. If you look at that rev counter, it's got a little bit of lag, but it's pretty good. It does have a rev limiter, 9,000 RPM. And this thing is warm, it's been ridden quite a bit, so I've got no qualms doing that. But yeah, if I want to have this thing running and warmed up before I ride it, I've just got to stand here. You can see my legs kind of tuck in and shape into this tank here, and yeah, I'm quite impressed with how comfortable it is. And you may see over there, I've actually found a random Honda Grom. One thing Kass has just pointed out is there is the battery here underneath the seat. There's a little key hole just on the side here, so you can open that. That's your air intake. That's why it's probably quite dirty. You've got your diagnostic plug there. There's a little tool bag there, which is pretty cool. So I'm imagining that's just got a spark plug socket and a screwdriver, and that's about it. This pillion seat is bolted down, so that doesn't remove as easy. Should we see if we can catch him? That intake sound is so good. Kass's Honda Grom actually has a funny story. A while ago, before COVID came along, I helped out a couple of Swedish guys on an around the world motorcycle adventure. One of them was riding a CRF 250 and the other one was riding a Honda Grom. Now his engine had been rebuilt in Bali before they came to New Zealand and was severely damaged in the rebuild and didn't do too well afterwards. And his only option ended up transpiring to be buy a brand new Grom in New Zealand and take the engine out of it and put it into his frame and keep going around the world. Kass has that frame that they bought with the old engine from the original Swedish bike, which I think is really, really cool. And he's completely rebuilt that. I feel like this thing's a bit more raw than the Honda Grom. There is a bit of dive when you slam on those front brakes, but nothing horrible. It's dampening well. It's taking the force of the braking really, really well, and I don't feel like I'm losing control in any way. Even on these wet, twisty roads. Hey cows! Hello! Cows are very curious creatures. They always like a good small bike. Here we are, winding road. What can this thing handle? What does it feel like? So I think we're in third. That's one thing. There's no gear indicator on this dashboard or this display, but there's chickens on the side of the road. But I guess it doesn't need one. I'm in fourth now. You just got to kind of be old school and remember what gear you're in, which isn't that hard. Back to third. Definitely don't need this fifth on any uphill really, but I will change it to the fifth as we come into this dip. 5. We'll just do that customary. Yeah, there's no more gears. Gear change. That's awesome. 80 kilometers an hour through those twisty roads there. Super nice. Damp, then dry, mid-corner. I can take it to my limit very easily, and it handles that. Whether that's what other people's limits are, I've got no idea. Neutral light on in 5th gear. That's probably one of the things that's a bit disappointing. And I have mentioned about these little quality control items, but yeah, I can't catch him at all. I might be able to get him on this downhill with a slight flat. Yeah, here we are. Finally caught up with the guy. Damn, okay, so going uphill wide open, the Grom almost feels like it has a little bit more torque. It's just, if he gets ahead, it's really hard to catch him. This thing has more gears it has technically more power and 10 more cc, but it just gets to a point where I can't wring it out as much as I want to. You just hit that throttle and it just doesn't feel like there's anything there. And by the way, I'm still in neutral supposedly, even though I'm in 5th gear. It's the 4th time I've probably mentioned it. See if I can change that into a positive run going downhill. This is me absolutely pinning it wide open, and I feel like I only get close to him if he lets off the throttle. These things are really evenly matched performance wise. Sure, the specs won't be exactly the same, but there's two very evenly matched riders here on two very evenly matched bikes, and I can't quite keep on him as close as I want to be able to. And there we are, close that gap. If you ask Kass who's the better rider between him and I, he'll say I'm better on tarmac and he's better on dirt. I just think he's better than me, but he's a bit humble. But hey, they're very evenly matched. And now I'm actually on the Grom, so we'll see if it's him or me. I can tell you within a few seconds of jumping on this Honda Grom, the main difference between the TNT135 and a Honda Grom or an MSX125 is the rider. Kass just got a better line through these corners. He holds it nicer than I do, and therefore he is quicker than me. It's 100% the rider, eh? With you on that, I can't catch you, and with you on this, I can't catch you. As I sit here trying to catch Kass on the downhill, even though we're going up, we're going down the mountain, I feel more comfortable on the Benelli TNT135. It's got a longer seat area for me to kind of sit in, although I was sitting as far back as I could on the Benelli. And the Grom, you just can't sit back because there's a dip for the main rider. I feel more comfortable on that, but I still, you know, jumping on this right now and riding it aggressively, I really like the Grom. This is only 4-speed, the new 5-speed's out now. I was hoping when the Benelli TNT135 came out that Honda would listen to the call and give it an extra gear, and they have, so that's really cool. Highway speed, yeah, we're all good. So this is 100 km/h road, 60 miles per hour for you guys that need freedom units, and it's fine. Can it do highway speeds? Yes, off the highway we go. This area here is where the Benelli TNT135 raced me on the recent Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. I'm on the Grom again. That's because I've given Kass the Benelli just to see what he thinks about it around kind of an urban setting. I just jumped off the TNT135 literally 30 seconds ago. It's got hazard lights. Look at both of those. So I guess I've just forced Kass to do that so I can show you what the tail light setup looks like. It's really cool. This has a tail tidy, but the tail tidy has not changed the tail lights in any way, shape or form. That'll do. So that's it, I guess. That's the Benelli TNT135. That's the Honda Grom. As you can see, they're so gosh dang similar that it's really hard to just say this one's better or that one's better, because they both have things they're really good at. I like the build quality of that one a bit more than this one, but this one's still built really well. But, you know, the Grom has a much more smoother feeling. This thing is not vibrating to heck, which I've read a lot of reviews saying it does, but it just doesn't. It's not too bad at all. It's a good bike. It's well made. The 135cc engine, you know, it comes into its own between 7 to 9,000 RPM, which is cool, whereas the Grom just kind of has a more linear, standardized kind of power output, I guess. You just kind of, it's smoother. It's quite similar all the way through. Look, if you want the fun of a Grom but don't want to spend Grom money, and you can pick one of these up new for cheaper or second hand for way cheaper, then do it. You're not doing yourself a disservice. They're really cool. They're awesome bikes. They do their job super well, and I really like them. Do you know which one you'd choose if you had to choose again?
Yeah, the Benelli.
Okay, sweet. I'd rather a CT125.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.